So for my project, I decided to build a radio telescope, or an itty bitty radio telescope. And what it is that it is a 12,000 megahertz radio telescope that can detect frequencies in the range of 12,200 to 12,700 megahertz. It's not a radio telescope system that can be used for any serious sky surveys. It can't really look at stars or other radio wave emitting objects. However, it can detect the sun, and it can very well detect black body radiation, such as trees, buildings, people, when viewed against a blank sky. So the construction process was fairly easy. I gathered all the materials. I found existing instructions online from a website with all the specific parts, and once I ordered them all, I started putting them together. So this is a video of me soldering one of the coax cables to an RF or radio frequency choke. And what that RF choke is, it's a basic inductor that chokes the radio frequency signal so that DC current can pass through, but not AC current. And basically all it does is that really just cleans up the signal that the channel master is reading. What this telescope does best is detect blackbody radiation, which is essentially the same as thermal radiation, which according to our textbook is the spectrum of radiation produced by an opaque object that depends only on the object's temperature, sometimes called blackbody radiation. Okay, do it. When I walk in front of the dish, the signal picks up my body temperature, and that is why we see a spike in the channel master. Another cool thing you can do with the telescope is you can use it to show where a tree line ends and the sky begins. You can do this in principle because the sky has a much lower temperature than the tree line does, or the trees do. So when you pan the dish up and down, you can hear the difference in signal. Something interesting that I found was that when I pointed the dish towards the water heater that is in my house, it was able to detect the temperature through the wall. The last cool thing I can do with this telescope is I could find satellites in the sky. There's a lot of geostationary satellites that are in orbit above the Earth that transmit radio signals, and the dish can receive those signals because satellites are very narrow beam transmitters, so all of its energy is given off in a very narrow band. This video doesn't show any satellites, as I think there was some interference with my house, but it would be cool to find some. It's cool to think that if I took the same process and the same concept and made it on a much larger scale, I would be able to take photos of the sky after downloading some software. But this will have to do for now.